Just be a sec for the game to initialize here, and yeah, we're on Sheltered Pass. Bit of an iconic map for its choke points here. You've got these valleys and then these high grounds, so you can realistically wall this off quite easily. You give yourself half the map here. So we've got Neenja playing his Romans, the red trunks. We've got Tim619 on the lower side of the map playing his Babylonians, in the blue trunks. Two civs with quite a rock solid H2, although for Romans the clock is sort of ticking. You can only make so many Decurions, so you're otherwise having to rely on slingers as a counter range unit against the Babylonian bowmen, which are really cheap and easy to mass. Babylonian don't have any counter infantry of their own, so as much as legionaries are nice to deny infantry presence, playing in against a civ with both bowmen and a cavalry which counters infantry units early on, you only want to make so many of them before you go to age 3. You know, paradoxically, Babylon's got to try and stop the Roman from getting to age 3, while also being aware of the fact that it's going to be hard for them to actually close out the game completely without getting there to get access to sappers or to their siege towers, and also really reap the benefit of the late game Babylonian economy. Like, they're a reasonably good civ early on, but they're just a wicked civ for economy late game. Ox carts do end up saving you quite a bit of resources in the long run over storehouses. Even though they're more expensive, you can actually move them from place to place, and even though they take up that little bit of population, Babylonian's a good civ for taking repeat engagements in the mid to late game at a pace the other civs could struggle a bit with. If they're overextending and playing a little bit more aggressively than they should, Babylonian will let them know about it. Because they've got access to quite a cheap and spammable arsenal of units. Gardens are also going to mean a food trickle and also reduce train and research time. The Romans, they've got expensive officer units. They do have access to Ekes in age 3, so that's what really makes it quite tough for Babylonian, because their only real counter against them is the spearmen, and then by that stage, you know, they can go for legionaries, who are the only unit in the game that can have 2 upgrades for them other than war dogs, and war dog upgrades are things like train time and build limit, whereas, you know, legionaries actually get stats. And yeah, the Ekes are really tough for Babylonian because they can't make mounted archers to beat them without also having something in the front line, and then they've also got to have spearmen to be that front line, because anything else just gets wrecked by the Ekes. And then you don't want to commit to both spears and mounted archers, because then you're sort of over-investing in anti-cavalry and leaving yourself susceptible to being killed by a mix of ranged units or Scorpios and infantry. So it is quite a tough matchup for Babylonian oftentimes. But there are points where Roman can drag it out too long in the early game and find themselves in some hot water where they've really only got Decurions to deal with the Babylonian backline. But yeah, the longer the game goes on, the more I think Roman actually get a rating advantage over Babylonian, which is sort of weird because they normally are the civ that really picks up with rating capability as the game goes on. So Neenja, good resource gathering there. He's only 15 over what he actually needs for his town center production. This is hella efficient for him. Tim actually going for a barracks to start with. So this is an interesting choice, because it is going to slow down town center production. He's not gathering any stone, so no early game TC here. He's going to have that house up in time to get some unit production. So Tim going to go for spears because he's a little bit worried about early game Decurion harass from Neenja, who did a good job of it last game against Kira, but just couldn't turn it into a win in the late game. This town center's pretty good, well positioned. It's going to come for that gold mine. What's left of the food, and let him chop through a lot of this wood, pretty unopposed. Don't have to worry about cutting through the wood line and then just getting killed because you haven't really got any support on the other side. Tim's not looking overly threatening at the moment. He's just adding a range now, and he's getting a lot of buildings outside of town center radius, which you don't see a lot of. Although Tim could also be planning to go for a town center over here just to guard all these resources. Because it could sort of be like a forward town center addition to his base, but just done in reverse. Because Ninja's going to start creeping ahead in terms of villager population, and Tim actually needs to make sure he's constantly training vills in this position, because he'll be really far behind on vill production if he's not maintaining at least single vill constant production in the face of opponent going for double vill constant production. Like, the only thing worse than being 50 villagers versus 70 villagers eco with a relatively even sized army is being 35 villagers to 70 villagers with a relatively evenly sized army. You know, you really, when you are playing the more aggressive, less macro-oriented build in the matchup, it's actually more important for you to maintain, constant eco building production than it is for your opponent, whose focus really should be on maintaining what little military production they can afford early on, while you've got that extra military building over them. It doesn't really matter if you're half a second late on that next spearman. What matters is that you're not half a second late on that next villager. So now Tim will be working towards H2 town center, and he's only really just going to start putting some pressure on Neenja, he's only just gotten his first Decurion and can't really make anything else other than Decurions at the moment. And those, they're not going to trade well against the spears. They're going to trade great against the bowmen, particularly in such a small number, because they're not going to get bursted at range. But at the same time, Tim's going to want to try and stop this frontside gold gathering, force Neenja to have to actually put a storehouse on this other gold mine, try and evacuate some villages out of here and, delay a bit of gathering. I do like that Tim actually sent a single spear just to the edge of the town center radius. So Ninja's going to have to try and take this engagement after... Oh, there we go. The third Decurion's out. He's going to have to try and wait till one or two of the spears goes down from the town center, so he can actually get on top of these bowmen. So spears galore here, and they are going to be able to eat this Decurion. But these guys much more expensive at 155 resources, whereas the spears are only 60. The bowmen are only 50. But Tim needs to try and snipe a couple of villages here. He will be able to get one, so that's a nice pick off for him. But again, he's only producing military at the moment. Ninja's got double villager production, so 35 vills to 28 at the moment. Tim will be slipping behind in that regard unless he can keep up this, get some more military kills, kill some more vills, or force them to not be gathering at the moment. Oh, that Decurion going down, that's a nice snipe there for Tim. He does sacrifice the spear for it, but at the same time, Decurion is worth a lot more. So Neenja trying to get on top of the bows because he can prevent his own villagers from being sniped here. Tim maintaining that double military production here. Again, he's only really producing villagers willy-nilly at this point, but at the same time, the pressure he's putting on is forcing Ninja to do the same. But at any time here, Ninja can just turn up the tempo and just outproduce him as long as he can get enough food income here. In fact, ooh, Ninja versus Wild here. Ninja losing a villager there to the elephant. I'm glad I switched to that. We had we got fond memories, Kira and I especially, of Taz playing Taz versus Wild. So Ninja playing a bit of Ninja versus Wild there, but not paying off. Losing a villager out of it, but he should be able to get a little bit of value out of this. The legionaries on the spears is ideal for him. Decurion's focusing down the bowmen with only one spear attacking them, which is great for him. He just wants to make sure he doesn't overextend, and he can force Tim to bring the bowmen back inside the radius of the town center. Everything does have regen here for Tim, so if he can keep fighting, he can deny Decurion healing, while also reaping the benefit of his own units having double that heal rate on smaller health pools, so it does end up meaning more effective restoration to his army. Maybe not more efficient in terms of economy, but it is more effective in terms of the actual stats on the unit as time goes by. But Tim, cutting villages at 28 here. He is banking resources. He could afford to possibly throw down... Yeah, he's going to go for a stables. He's going to go for an armory here. But Neenja, other than being pop-capped, has been creeping forward in terms of overall population here. Up to 45 villages. Probably going to add more and more as time goes on. While also being able to add more and more military. This is really aggressive from Tim. He has distracted Ninja's eco a little bit and forced him into engagements he might not want to take. Oh, that spear just makes it out, so that's nice timing there for Tim. And he's got one of those Decurions super low at the moment. I'm just trying to go on this other gold mine, although... Yeah, because I suppose this one's really being denied at the moment, so Ninja's going to have to move from the other gold mine over next to the town centre, or to this one over here, meaning that Tim can possibly snipe this and get a bit of value out of it. Neenja gonna throw up some eyes and ears over here, get a watch post, make it a bit easier for if he's ever able to sneak some Decurions around, or once he gets to age 3 he may be able to go for Ekers, a little bit more pop efficient rating. Tim's starting to mass up a good number of units to actually sack this town centre here, and if he can do that, big blow to Neenja. He is continuing to fall behind in terms of score though, so his own eco is only still on 29 villages. Neenja up to 53 at the moment. Tim doing a good job at getting the bows out of here, minimising the amount of damage they're actually taking from Decurions at the moment, but he's also taking a little bit too much time attacking them over attacking the Legionaries, while his spears and lancers are trying to clean up the Legionaries alone, which is good for the lancers, not great for the spears though. So Tim needing to have kept up that villager production behind this, because realistically you could be on about 36 or 7 villages at the moment instead of, you know, 30 villages. Ninja's already up to 55, so Tim's going to want to be as close to 40 villas as possible and, you know, not want to lose any units here, so he's going to need to retreat. And I think Neenja might be through the worst of the pushing here. Tim's taken the town centre to half health, but maybe just strong enough to hold out while age 3 is kicking in here. Neenja not really threatened in terms of eco pacing at the moment, so sort of cutting build production at the moment and waiting for age 3, adding some more Legionaries and Decurions at the moment, but we may need to start adding in spears to deal with the Lancers, because they are going to trade quite well into an army of just Legionary Decurion, provided they've got some spears amongst them and some bowmen to back them up. Ninja's going to want to try and get either his own bowmen or get some Scorpios in age 3. Tim, really nice, well-rounded age 2 Babylonian composition, but again, needs to get age 2 town centre, catch up in terms of eco, start to produce more villages again. So what have you got? Scale Mail. He's getting temper at the moment, so he's got some nice upgrades here. Well, Ninja's not really been able to focus on upgrades at all, but he's got a more well-rounded economy at the moment. You know, he's up 28 villages in spite of being the player under pressure all game, so sometimes just playing that more macro-oriented build is the way to go, unless your opponent is making absolutely optimal unit choices. Sorry guys, it's my family asking me something. So Tim sort of going all in here, and it looks like Ninja's able to clean this up. Tim not actually producing anything behind this, and he's calling GG here. So Neenja taking game off Tim here.